Hi, thanks for tuning in to A Moment of Truth. This is Kelly, and today I want to talk to you some more about wisdom from Proverbs. My verse for today is Proverbs 15:7, and that reads out of the Amplified, "The lips of the wise disperse knowledge, not so the minds and hearts of the self-confident and foolish." Let me read it again. The lips of the wise disperse knowledge, not so the minds and the hearts of the self-confident and foolish. One of the breakdowns I want to talk to you today about in this verse is the whole principle of dispersing. When you read this in the Amplified Version, in parentheses, it talks about the sifting as of chaff from the grain. The sifting is a process of separating the chaff or the thing that in the grain, in the wheat of, in a kernel of wheat, and in a grain of wheat, the chaff is the part that was not worth anything and would be broken off and scattered. And the sifting through of that, there would have to be a separation of the chaff from the actual wheat grain. So it is with the knowledge that you and I have. And the lips of the wise will disperse or run it through this process of the sifting of the chaff from the wheat. The knowledge that you and I have, we need to sift through it and disperse it correctly. And the wise will do that whole process, but the self-confident and the foolish will not. They will react. So what I want to talk to you about is that wisdom is always deliberate, and it's always discretionary, not reactionary. Let me say that again. Wisdom is always deliberate. It always takes some measure to operate in wisdom. It doesn't just happen. It takes a deliberate measure, and it is always discretionary. The wise will always look through the knowledge of what they have and bring understanding, and will weigh it and sift what is unnecessary from what is necessary. And they'll go through that process to disperse it. The lips of the wise will do that, whereas the lips of the foolish and the self-confident will just react. It will not be deliberate. It will not be discretionary. It will be reactionary. And so I want you to begin to think about in your everyday life the things that come up that can cause a reaction in you and from you and provoke you to be reactionary rather than deliberate and discretionary, and can cause you to be self-confident versus God-confident. See, the lips of the wise, they disperse or they channel through this knowledge after it's weighed out. But the self-confident, they react. And the foolish, they react. So from this verse, we can let it teach us not to react and not to be confident of ourselves, but instead step back and say, Lord, and bring the Lord into this process. What would you have me to do here? What's the truth here? See, all those questions that you ask are a part of the sifting through of the wheat from the chaff. And the lips of the wise will do that in how they disperse that knowledge. They will not react. It will take deliberation. It will take discretionary measures of thinking through and weighing and sifting, because you are dependent upon the Lord and His counsel. And you know what? When you're a believer, That counsel lives inside of you 24/7. It's not like you have to just go out and get it. It's in the Word of God, and that's why it's so important that we renew our minds and our thinking to agree with what God says is wisdom and the way He thinks and the way He operates, so that we can yield to that in our sifting process and not be reactionary, not let something or a circumstance or a word from someone provoke us to a negative response. But instead, we can disperse knowledge and the fragrance of God in every circumstance that we operate in, if we will be wise and we will sort through what His counsel is and be dependent upon that and not self-dependent and self-confident, then we will not behave foolishly as an outcome. So today I encourage you, talk to the Lord about His wisdom. Ask Him what He thinks about any situation you might be going through. Weigh it out in the counsel of the Lord. Sift through it so that your lips will disperse knowledge, and you will not be self-confident and foolish, but instead you will be God-confident and wise. Thank you for listening. This is my moment of truth. The Lord bless you today.